Hi, my name is Megan Regier, and I chose the case study entitled Punishing Choices, Challenges of Mandated Reporting. So the context of this case study, it takes place at Alton Elementary School in Memphis, Tennessee. The teacher's name is Amanda Whitford, and she is a third grade teacher. It's her second year as a Teach for America Corps member. And essentially, the situation in this case study that's being addressed is what is the line between corporal punishment and physical abuse in a setting or culture where corporal punishment is so prominent. So, just for a little further information, corporal punishment is a punishment in which physical force is used. So, spanking, paddling, pinching, slapping, anything like that. So essentially, the whole situation in this case study is, when do you report abuse to DCS? And does Tennessee DCS do more harm than good? So background law and ethics. So I'm going to talk about both Tennessee and Kansas, since this takes place in Tennessee. So Tennessee allows for the use of reasonable corporal punishment. However, there is no rules or guidelines elaborating the term reasonable. So this is an issue because in the case study, the student has bruising on him. So that could be from corporal punishment, but the reason that the teacher is thinking twice about it is because of the change in his behavior all of a sudden. And according to the Tennessee Department of Children's Services, the DCS, physical abuse is defined as non-accidental trauma or physical injury of a child or failure to protect a child from harm. And since both corporal punishment and physical abuse can lead to bruising and markings on a body, it's difficult to decipher between the two without further evidence. So in this case study, the further evidence is the sudden change in the student's behavior, as well as the sudden change in his home life and the suspicious behavior of the mom when confronted about it. So that's what is making it more than just corporal punishment. That's why the teacher is suggesting that this could be physical abuse, because of those other changes as well as the bruising. So in Kansas, according to Kansas legislator, intentionally failing to make a report or preventing/interfering with the making of a report is considered a Class B misdemeanor. So knowing this, if this case study took place in Kansas, the main teacher in this case study, as well as the other teacher that she's discussing the situation with, would fall under this category if a report was not made. So the teacher she has a discussion with in the case study is telling her to not make a report because DCS does more harm than good. So she's conflicted as to whether or not she should make it, but because she potentially will decide not to make it and he's telling her not to make it, that means that both of them would be essentially committing a Class B misdemeanor if they were in Kansas. So now we're going to talk about Tennessee laws because they're just a little bit different. So according to Tennessee DCS, and I pulled these straight from the state website, and I have that cited in my resources. But possible indicators of abuse and neglect is all of these listed on this screenshot. So the child has repeated injuries that are not properly treated or adequately explained. The child begins acting in unusual ways. So this is one of the indicators that the teacher saw. The sudden drop in school grades or participation in activities, that's another indicator that the teacher saw. And these alone are not indicators of for sure abuse, but in combination with the bruising, this means that there could potentially be abuse at home. And then below it says failure to report in Tennessee is a Class A misdemeanor. So this has a sentence of up to 3 months imprisonment, a fine, or both. and the reporter does have the right to remain confidential and anonymous. So essentially, I'm going to actually go back. Essentially, if the teacher refused to not report a potential abuse situation, she could be sentenced for up to 3 months in jail with a fine, or just a fine and no imprisonment, or both. So what is the multiple response system? So this is still in Tennessee, since this case study takes place in Tennessee. This is Tennessee, the state of Tennessee's way of responding to concerns of certain types of neglect or abuse. So essentially what they say is it's not a one-shoe-fits-all process. It's different for each child. So they don't always take the child out of the home. They do that if they need to, but a lot of times they want to keep the child in the home and just help parents address situations to keep the child in a safer situation. So now that we know all this, I personally believe it's in the child's best interest for the teacher to report potential abuse. If there's no abuse happening, then let's go back to this. Then the professionals that the state sends out will see that, and any small issues will be addressed. And that's that. If there is abuse happening, then this multiple response system here, and the not having the one shoe fits all mindset will help the student, or help the child, help the teacher student get the help he needs, whether that be being pulled from his home or just helping his mom make a few changes to keep him more safe. So that's what the point of this multiple response system. So I do believe it's in the child's best interest for the teacher to report potential abuse. Like I said, not only could she be held liable in the state of Tennessee and potentially go to jail, but also if he is being abused, that needs to be addressed and that situation needs to be solved so that he has a safe home life. And that doesn't always mean he's going to be pulled from his home. He could stay in his home and the state could just help his mom make some changes in the home to keep him safe. So, yep, that is it. Here's my resources, and thank you for watching.